Hey, Shalom, giving all praises unto Yahweh, Shema Shabbat Shemukah HaKodash, double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone, and honor you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. So I'm the brother Ibody, coming out here to give you this truth for the grace and mercy of Yahweh, Shema Shabbat Shemukah HaKodash, giving all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shabbat Shemukah HaKodash. So, in the latest ploy of deception, we see this individual here. This is a basketball player, and he's a very, very talented individual. If you see some of the highlights that get posted on YouTube about this individual, he's very talented, quite a popular young man, former NBA champion. I think, is it 2 times? Maybe just 1 time. He's a NBA champion, but he's a very controversial figure in terms of his mindset and the things that he posts. So what we see now with this with this stab and jab is we're seeing more and more individuals that are celebrities that are coming out and saying they're against it. I've just seen something right now about Eddie Griffin, and he's pretty much going into barbershop speech, because that's what they give you. They give you barbershop speech. Some of these leaders that you have out here within amongst Jake give you that barbershop wisdom, which, you know, there's a little nuggets here and there, but for the most part, it's garbage, right? And this individual here, Kyrie Irving, has been pretty much a guy that's been known to say some very stupid things, right? So the question that I pose here, and I'm going to get a few scriptures here. I'm not going to make this video very long, is, or the statement that I'm going to make, a handful of statements that I'm going to make are going to be with this in mind. Here it is. We got an individual, a Negro at that. Last month or so, we had Nicki Minaj, and she was the face of the anti-stab and jab. And you got to wonder to yourself, where are all the doctors? Where are all the scientists that have refused? Because within New York City, they're talking about tapping into the national grid, right? That's within the news. They're talking about tapping into the national grid because of the sheer abundance of nurses, doctors, and scientists or whatever that have refused to get the stab and jab. So where are those individuals? Where are their stories, right? You're not going to get their stories because it's all a scam. You're not going to get somebody that's well articulated, well learned, that's going to pose their side. You notice that the media is taking one stance about this stab and jab. You're not getting what's known as a balanced argument. When you go into the studies of arguments, or you go into the studies of conversation, there's a thing of presenting a situation for and a situation against. Where's the individuals that are saying stuff against this so you can make an informed decision by yourself? But rather, you're getting coerced into making a decision that's going to be detrimental to your salvation, right? Getting a stab and jab is going to be detrimental to your salvation. So that's why they use individuals like Nicki Minaj and Kyrie Irving. You ain't never going to see a scientist go up in there and say, look, X, Y, and Z is what's happening with this stab and jab. Here's the numbers. Here's the figures. You're not going to have a politician go up there, especially out here within England, because in England, you can go to the the government's own website, what's known as the yellow card scheme. You can go on there and you can look up all the negative impacts of getting the stab and jab, and they'll break it down to you off of the government's own website. But you're never going to get a politician bring that yellow card scheme out and read it on a panel. They're not going to ever refer to that in the media because this is all a ploy to get you ready for the MOTB. Okay, the stabbing, the mark that's spoken about within the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter and the 16th verse. And you better believe they're going to be bringing that out pretty soon. They got the infrastructure for it out there within Italy right now. You can't do nothing unless you got the stab and jabbing. You brothers, pray for the Archium that's out there within Italy, that the Most High deliver them, and brothers out there within Australia, that the Most High deliver them, because it looks like they're a little bit more ahead within the program of Esau. But going back onto this video, you're not gonna get those intellectuals and those individuals and those well-learned men. They're gonna give you the crazy people, and they're gonna call them the anti-stab and jab, because they want that association between individuals that refuse the stab and jab and individuals like this guy, Kyrie Irving, who was not too long ago talking about how the world is flat, and which we know from the scriptures that the world is not flat. And we know that from anecdotal evidence that the world is not flat. And a simple proof of that is that you have a horizon. Let's go into a little bit of science. When you look through, you've got silly people out there, but when you look at your eyes see in straight lines, and if your eyes saw in straight lines, and you look out onto the coast on the beach, your eyes seeing in a straight line, and the ship disappears over the horizon, that's your eyesight going in a straight line, but the surface going off, on a tangent. If you know science, a tangent is an arc meeting a straight line. So that disproves that flat Earth. Just it's simple, right? But going back onto this dude, that's what he was tripping off a long time ago. So like they say that a broken clock can be right sometimes, right? Or this is a situation like that, but that's the association that Esau wants you to have. So let's go into the scriptures right now, and we're going to go into the book of Job, and this is going to be forgers of lies. Let's bring it up. Job, in fact, we can go to the whole verse. Job 4 and Job 13 and 4. But ye are forgers of lies. So these documents that you're reading about the stab and jab being beneficial and all of this madness, these are lies that get perpetuated out here, including too with this whole CO2 nonsense that they're pushing out here. You're gonna have a system pretty soon where you're gonna have carbon credits, health certificates, and this is how they're gonna monitor your energy usage and your food usage and your movements throughout the course of the earth. They're gonna be managed through the health certificates, and they're gonna be managed through that carbon emission things, man. And this is a plan that these elites have been putting forth for a long time, and it's coming to fruition right now. But we know when he's about to fill his belly, the Most High was going to cast his wrath upon him. You are the forgers of lies. You are all physicians of no value, right? And they're scientists, which are the physicians of this world, man. The ones that you see on TV. And you know what? As a guy that listens to actual, I don't really like filling my head up with garbage. I like watching experts on music, experts on automotive engineering. I like watching experts on anything. I watch a guy called Lewis Roman, or Raymond. I forget his last name, but his name is Lewis, and all he does is break down Apple computers. That's all he does. Now, I don't know nothing about computing, but I just like listening to him break down stuff. Like, I just like seeing intelligent people, maybe for a sheer a lack of being, quote unquote intelligent as far as this world is concerned myself. But I'm fascinated by individuals like that. I'm fascinated by a way the most I could put the spirit upon a particular individual to break things down that are very technical and break it down like it's simple. I'm fascinated by that, and that's what I fill my head with. But when it comes to this C19, I haven't seen one expert on that caliber come up on the TV. Nobody's come up on there and said, look, boom, 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 this is how it's going to work. This is what we're going to do. Right? Scientists are very passionate individuals. You better believe that. It takes a lot of time to break down a cell of a human body to the point where you can understand it, to manipulate it. And this is what they're putting in your body. And nobody's come up there and really, broke it down to where I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It's all garbage. But a real expert, when you go into BitChute and all of these other obscure websites where they go that are on YouTube, you see these guys that are breaking it down, and I'm like, hold on a minute, those are the real scientists. How comes they don't have a platform? Why? Because these are the physicians you got physicians of no value on the mainstream, but the real physicians out there, the real scientists, when you look at history, right? Look at the battles that you had between them top scientists. And they had the battle between alternate current and what's known as conventional current. There was a whole battle about how circuits worked, man. They had a battle about that. They had a debate, but now that there's no debate. Okay, there's no contention. There's no one coming up to you and saying, look, I think it's this. This is the science to prove that. You ain't seen that on the TV, but they'll show you some damn Kyrie Irving, right? Who's got a crazy track record, and they're gonna say that's the voice of opposition. That's very deceitful. That's very deceitful, rather more. That's very deceptive. Let's get one more scripture here. Smoother. So he comes to you with that smooth speech. All right, you're going to be able to access X, Y, and Z. That's what they're saying out there within Australia. But you got to get the QR code. Psalms 55:21, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, and it's war against humanity right now for the red Hebrew Edomite, and he's trying to get you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans destroyed, man. Yet they was drawn swords, and a sword could be small, could be big. It's just a means of judgment, man. And that's what Esau's bringing up upon the people, that little sword. So with that, I'm going to say, all praise unto Yahweh Shema Shai. Hopefully that was of edification. All praise unto Yahweh Shema Shai, Bashimu Kwa HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles of great millstone, and honors you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.